Well, two mothers suddenly turned up missing, and not much is being said about them. I want to update you on the Florida resident Lauren Demolo, and then we're going to talk about Heidi Plank, who suddenly disappeared last month in Los Angeles. Or are things starting to change? Thanks for joining Profiling Evil for this quick review of some of the crazy crime stories circulating this week. As we begin, just take a moment, hit that like and the subscribe button, and ring the bell for notifications so that you don't miss any of our new videos. Now let's talk about missing moms, Lauren Demolo and Heidi Plank. Demolo has been missing since June of 2020. She's one of those missing people who doesn't seem to garner a lot of attention. We focused on her a number of times here at Profiling Evil, and you can go back and watch those videos if you're interested, and I hope you are. Well, recently, the Cape Coral, Florida Police Department held a press conference to dispel rumors that the discovery of human remains in North Fort Myers was Lauren Demolo. Nope, it wasn't. After forensic examination of the decedent's dental records, it was determined that they did not belong to Demolo, and her case remains unsolved. Lauren Demolo was last seen near her apartment on June 19th, 2020. Her purse was found just a few blocks from her home, over by a little port area in a park. It's a place where she was known to visit very often. Her mobile phone was left at her home. Now, she's a frequent walker and she didn't own a car, and she was last seen wearing a t-shirt and shorts. Police Chief Anthony Sizemore said, quote, "While this is a setback in the quest for closure for Lauren's family, hope remains that Lauren is out there. While it's disappointing to not achieve closure, that is balanced with wanting to keep hope alive, and Lauren will be found safe," close quote. I mean, what a beautiful statement. Cape Coral police are asking anyone with information about Lauren's disappearance to please call 239-574-3223. Well, let's move over to the West Coast and missing mother Heidi Plank. This one's left us scratching our heads, folks. The Los Angeles resident has been missing for a month now, and the case is getting more intriguing with every day that passes. Single mother Heidi Plank is a bookkeeper from a financial company that's currently under scrutiny in a $43 million fraud investigation. Now, no one's pointing fingers at Plank in that fraud case, but she works for the person who is under investigation. Questions are swirling around whether there's a tie to her work and her disappearance. I wonder if this case has more to do with her personal circumstances and her alleged battle with mental illness. Plank was captured on her home camera leaving her residence on October 17th. Everything seemed normal as she climbed into her car with a beverage in one hand and her purse in the other. Her dog tagged along, dragging its leash toward the vehicle. Well, after about a 30-minute drive, Plank arrived at her son's football game in the Los Angeles suburb of Downey. She stayed until about halftime, but according to her husband, she seemed very distracted. Now, it's believed that she returned home after leaving the game, and if so, this is creating some interesting questions in my mind. You see, again, it takes about 30 minutes to drive from the football field in Downey to her Rainier Village home in Los Angeles. This theory was developed because someone discovered police her mobile phone and it was recovered at her residence. Now, I haven't seen additional footage from the camera at her home supporting whether she did in fact go home before heading to the last location that she was photographed, but her phone was at her home, and according to reports, it was at the ball game with her. Reports also say that CCTV footage, this footage here, of the 39-year-old woman was seen about an hour after she left the football game in an alleyway near the Hope and Flower Apartments. It's a building in Los Angeles that's located just a few blocks from Staples Sports Arena. Now, And Staples Sports Arena, there are a lot of theories swirling around that basic fact, and I'll let you dig into those if you're interested. But here's the question. If Plank drove home from the game, she would have driven directly past the Hope and Flower apartments, only to turn around and return to them. Now, this theory again is supported by the fact that police recover her phone at her apartment. So, my question is it possible that that phone was taken back to the apartment after whatever happened to Heidi Plank? Now, the only thing we know for sure is that Plank was seen outside of the Hope and Flower with her dog. From there, Heidi, her belongings, and her vehicle suddenly disappear. What doesn't disappear is her dog, which is found walking around on the 28th floor of the apartment building, a building that Heidi Plank apparently has no ties to, at least none that none of us know about. Now, was Heidi on the 28th floor at some point? Did the dog somehow make it into the building and up to the 28th floor as it searched for its master? This is an incredibly busy policing district for the Los Angeles Police Department. I went and examined their calls for service in that area for the month of October, and I found that they handled nearly 2,700 calls just in this small area. Now, Heidi disappeared on a Sunday, which is the busiest day of the week in that district. Complaints of policing calls and problems in the apartment complex are pouring out every single day. That adds additional insight into that building. Again, why was she there? Now the head scratch. Plank's husband revealed through court documents and in his move to get full custody of his son that Plank suffers from severe mental health crises and that she has drug addiction issues. He shared his concern over Heidi's employer not asking how she was, but demanding her computer when she ended up disappearing. He really worries that somehow his ex-wife might be tied somehow to this huge $43 million fraud scheme and the problems surrounding that. Well, in searching publicly available information about Heidi Plank, I discovered that she's tied to more than 17 limited liability corporations and that she's had her own share of liens placed against her for tax issues. Now, those LLCs are spread throughout the Los Angeles basin and all the way north into Nevada. And as shown on these maps, you can see those locations and how they're broken down. They could be tied to her employment, or it could be something that is much more nefarious. That's a lot of corporations, folks. I really think it probably had something to do with her job. Now, in court documents, Plank's ex husband lodged complaints of mental stability, drug addiction, anger issues, concerns about her work, and concerns about physical abuse and fears for their son. Some have argued that her ex husband picked a really bad time to seek custody. I'd offer that it may have been really necessary for the good of the child, a son that he says is desperately concerned about his mother. Now, I'm sure that law enforcement is forensically examining Heidi Plank's phone to see where she last traveled, who she communicated with, and what it might tell them about her behaviorally by looking through all her social media, her texts, and other things. They're undoubtedly checking with all the license plate capture companies across the United States to see if her vehicle's been spotted anywhere. I'm really surprised her vehicle hasn't turned up somewhere, especially if she had some kind of a devastating event in or around the Hope and Flower apartment complex. We go back. Why did she go there? And why would she leave her phone at home? Was she instructed, meeting someone who demanded that she didn't bring her phone, or was it simply an oversight? Well, here's my question for you, folks. What do you think happened to Heidi Plank? Do you think Heidi is mixed up in this huge fraud investigation in her company? Do you really think that Heidi Plank would leave her dog at the apartments and not reach out to her son? I've not heard anything to suggest that she planned on leaving the area. They haven't released anything that suggests she was packing up anything. I'm really interested in what your thoughts are on the matter, and I'm going to be looking for your comments down below. Well, thanks for listening. And as we approach the holidays, please consider picking up my two newest books, Deceived, an investigative memoir of the Zion Society cult, and She Knew No Fear. You can get signed copies in hardbound versions with a special bundle price that saves you over $20 by visiting us at our website, profilingevil.com. Again, if you found the video to be interesting and educational, I hope you'll take a moment, hit that like and subscribe button, and ring the bell so that you get all of our notifications. And folks, we'll see you soon at the next crime scene.